So today we're going to take a trip back in time, and we have to think about why we started a headphone company. Not if or when or we did it,
Yes.
but why did we do it? Why?
That's a question, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not one I consider too frequently.
Anyone remember?
No.
I'm trying to think of it right now.
Yeah.
Well, there's a few reasons.
It was kind of like a false start initially, though. You know?
False start.
Yeah.
Expand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us.
Well, we started to, and then I was like, we didn't like what we were making.
Yeah.
And then we're like, backburnered it for a few years.
Yeah, but even before that, we had to come up with
Yeah.
a reason why we would even bother to try. You know, I mean, I remember walking around an early Can Jam at Rocky Mountain. Was it even a Can Jam at that time?
Yeah. There wasn't many vendors. At the
Yeah,
time, though, yeah.
maybe 10, 12.
There was like 4 tables and a tent.
Yeah, right, a tent. Yeah, it was the early days. I don't know when the hell that was, probably 07, 08 or something like that. And at that time, none of this existed, which is crazy. Think about it. None of this high-end headphone stuff really existed. There was nothing to choose from. And I remember one guy he had made this little portable amplifier out of solid aluminum. It was a machined aluminum piece.
Yeah.
And I think he only had one. And he was letting people try it out there at his table with some headphones. I don't know who it was. I don't remember her name. I don't even know if they're still around. I can't remember. Too bad, But yeah, and I thought it was pretty cool that he was looking for I don't know what some reasonable amount of money that he put a price on it, which was obviously too cheap to actually produce it in any volume.
Right.
He just didn't know that at the time. But looking at it, you're going, well, you're not going to be able to sell that for $150 and make it, or whatever the number was. But that intrigued me. I remember that intriguing me that I'm like, well, that's kind of cool that someone would go through all this trouble to make his own portable headphone amp. And it wasn't a business we were into. We were 2-channel audio. We were doing speakers and we were doing cables.
Yeah.
Doing cables for 2-channel audio. We really didn't pay any attention to the headphone side of it.
It was like the ground floor of the industry at the time, You could see it's just starting to people DIYing stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we're like, it's kind of interesting. So we kind of started to dabble ourselves, I guess you could
And
say.
I'm pretty sure it was me that I came back to. I think we had the room up in 9th floor or whatever because we're doing a speaker system with other companies. And I'm pretty sure it was me saying, looking around at the headphones, what's available and stuff, saying something to the fact, we could probably make something like this.
Well, I know what it was. It was we saw Woo's monoblocks, and you're like, this is cool. We need to make something to go with this. That was like the only thing that you're like, oh wow, this is a cool thing in the headphones.
That's
scene.
true.
And he had like one pair of them at the time.
That was the only set in the world of those 2, 3, 4 mono amps.
I forgot how long he had that one before he actually sold one.
Yeah,
The market was so immature then.
Yeah. Yeah, there was no one that.
I'm pretty sure that's probably. I never really thought about it.
I don't remember
but
what the price was. Let's say it's $15,000 for the pair.
It was a lot.
There was no headphone to go with it.
Yeah, where do you plug it into that?
Which is kind of wild when you think about it.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember that was probably the spark. It was like,
I think so.
This is cool. We need to make something to go with this.
Yeah, it was cool.
Well, I hung out in the 2-channel circles for a bit at that point, considering that, we happen to have like a vaguely sort of family business here. And
you were just getting started with it. You were just finishing up college or something.
Right. I was still in college at the time.
Yeah.
And I went to a few shows at that point and saw the 2-channel stuff. People selling their very low to very, very, very high priced goods. And I saw the diversity, the people. A show like that attracted the whole ecosystem, more or less, right? You kind of got a feel for it. And it was interesting in the fact that people were able to make really cool hardware that was unique, low volume, specialty, and unusual. But the prices were just crazy. It was so unattainable to almost everyone. You would need to spend well over $100,000 to have a system that was really, truly special.
Yeah, and I always
that's crazy.
at those shows, I always said it's a show, and I mean and that's an issue with shows. Like usually, when you're doing a show and you're spending the money to do a show and you're flying people out to do a show, and you're probably going to put your best foot forward.
Right.
So you're showing the most expensive stuff you have usually because you're trying to impress the most people, and looks obviously is a big impression when you see these huge speaker systems and multiple amplifiers and gear everywhere.
Yeah.
You can't help but go ooh ah as a
Yeah.
consumer, going that's cool.
It is kind of to your detriment at some point though, because like you're shoving
Sure.
all these huge things in these like hotel rooms,
Yeah.
So
Well,
Yeah,
what would happen
right.
is you would go room to room to room as a consumer looking at the stuff. And of course, inevitably, everyone wanted to stand out. So they weren't showing so much their $200 things. Some of the people had that, but that really wasn't really the selling point. Most people were kind of pushing, look what we could do. Here's our flagship. And these systems were $100, $200, $500,000. They're crazy money, right? Just everything is as expensive and crazy as we could do it. And while that's technically impressive, that's not something that I was interested in. I can't afford, and I don't even want
Well, for
a
most
system
people
like
too,
that.
didn't
I
make any
think,
financial sense.
Very few people in the world are interested in something
You pull
like
in the
that.
parking lot with your Honda Accord, you're not spending
$500,000
that kind of money.
on an audio system.
Probably
yeah,
not.
Yeah,
probably not.
But you can dream,
But it was cool, right? And then I had I probably the same kickstart that a lot of other people in the world had at the time. I had a demand for a personal audio that was better than what was available. I was going to school at the time, and I occasionally had long breaks between classes. I would have hours in some cases because this class was only available this time, this one was only available this time. So I had 4 hours. I didn't do anything. So what do you do when you had extra time? And I was sort of vaguely looking into headphone options, and there really wasn't many. I was on HeadFi, I guess, as you were at the time. And there really wasn't a lot available. It was very immature. Everyone was kind of sort of indecisive on what was good or what to buy. And there was only a handful of products available. And I tried a few of them. You got, I forgot what the model was. You got those AKG headphones that everyone was raving about at the time.
Oh yeah,
Those like white
Those
ones.
white
with
ones?
the-
701,
like a $300 pair. I don't know what
Something
it's
like that.
$200. Yeah,
And
was it a 701?
I think so.
Yeah,
they didn't do anything for me impressive.
yeah.
Right.
Likewise.
This was by a considerable margin the most expensive headphone I've tried at that point.
Yes, right.
And it was one of the more expensive headphones available.
Which is the reason why we never got into headphones to begin with, is because they never did
Well,
impress
there
us.
was a different problem with those too. I remember they were hard to drive, so we didn't really have anything to like drive. We didn't have headphone amps at the time,
yeah.
That
Right.
was
Well, at
other
the time, that market even was so immature. People were making like the Altoid tin amps and stuff like that. Right. There really wasn't the wide diversity that you see now, where you could get any price point, pretty much any size and feature set, and it's affordable. It's
I
easy
forgot
to
about
use.
those amps that people were putting in a little,
Yep.
the tin cases that came candy can. They'd use
Yeah.
it as a case for a home brewed amp.
I was talking to people at college at the time about things like that,
Yeah,
and there's a few people that were making them and whatnot. But
yeah. It was a
they
serious.
didn't
yeah.
work that good.
No, yeah. They probably weren't really reliable either. But that's kind of where this started, though. It was more of a grassroots movement, so to speak, in the audio community based on headphones.
Yeah, which hasn't happened in like 2-channel in 70 years or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, probably in the 70s.
Maybe
would
the
be when
70s,
it
yeah.
last time, which is a long time ago. But when your great grandpa was in diapers, okay, not that long.
Something like that.
Yeah, but anyway, the bottom line is, I mean, it hasn't been, and I think that's another thing that attracted me to it. Is like, well, I thought that we could promote this. We know high end. We've been in a high end 2-channel biz for a long time already. Then, and it's like, well, this shouldn't be that difficult to produce a high end product, and really bring the market along with us. And that's kind of was the vision I had at the time, is like, well, I think we could probably do this. And it took a while.
It did more than I would have liked to see. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we initially just, we don't have like a team of engineers to throw at this problem. You just got out of school, and it's the first thing I said, well, let's start making a headphone.
Well, I was working on it before then.
Yeah.
But yeah, full time after I got out of school.
Yeah.
And I guess all the factors managed to align because we saw a demand. We personally were somewhat interested and had a demand ourselves. We didn't really like anything on the market. There really wasn't that much on the market, nothing to appeal to a discerning audiophile, at least. And it seemed like an interesting thing to give it a shot. And we did. It took an awfully long time. And nothing pretty much happened seemingly for years.
Yeah.
It was, you would try things, it didn't do what you expected. You would try something else.
There was a
that
lot
didn't
of
work
there's
either.
a lot of failure
Yeah.
at the beginning, and then we started ramping up. I'd say the last 2-3 years of that, and we really started putting a lot of effort into it, and we focused on it.
I think the biggest thing is that we didn't realize like building jigs and all the things to build the things that you need to know how to
Yeah.
build. That took like the longest, really.
Figure out how to do it, and
Yeah.
once you figure out how to do it, you figure out how to make the tooling to do it
That's
and the
right.
jigs to do it.
Well, it's a really complicated problem because inevitably you need to make things to be able to make things that nobody's made before. And you're too small to call somebody up and say, hey, we're the small company that plans on selling 4 units. Can you make us this custom jig and we don't have any money? It doesn't go too far, right? That conversation ends quick. So you need to make it yourself. But you need to know how to make the thing that you don't know how to make, that nobody's ever made, to do a thing that nobody's ever done.
Yeah.
So it's very
So
difficult.
you
There's
go
a lot
through
of
a bunch,
trial
bunch
and
of
error.
iterations of that.
You hope this works.
Yeah.
You find out why it doesn't. You iterate. You improve,
Yeah.
and eventually it starts working.
And the whole machining process was a learning curve. We never ran CNC machines before, didn't know anything about them.
Yeah.
So we initially had someone else making the parts for us, which proved to be a limiting factor real
Problematic.
quickly.
Yeah.
Actually, really quickly, yeah.
So we bought our first machine. You learned how to use it. But the bottom line is it was a hell of a learning curve when you think about it.
We do have a
real quick
like a
learning
chest of all our early attempts still
Yeah.
in the back.
Yeah.
Look at it sometimes, it's like, oh my god.
The messed up parts.
Yeah. Jigs and
But
stuff.
no, I mean, it was a cool experience. I think particularly for you guys because when's the last time you made something, and then sold it from scratch? I mean, you don't. Maybe you would, but we've never done anything like that as a family or a company or as individuals.
Yeah, from the ground up.
From the ground up, totally. So it was a cool process, and I'd recommend it. Anyone willing to try something, to try it on whatever you're passionate about. Make something, see how it goes.
You actually got to make it though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the
gotta
important
make
thing.
it.
Making it.
More than one
That's
is the
that's
hardest
the hard part, yeah.
Yeah, making one's easy. Making
Maybe even 5 or
more.
10, but hundreds, all the same.
Yeah,
Shipping them to people, having them use them in ways you didn't expect. It's a challenge.
yeah, and it always will be. But that's business. That's the way the business is. When you that's the thing about shifting a hobby over to a business. It does become a business, but you can still enjoy it. I know a lot of people in the cars. They're still in the cars, even though they're making parts for cars or modifying cars or whatever. There's a lot of motorcycles that are like that.
Yeah.
I know
Well-
Ducati there's some guys make aftermarket parts for Ducatis, even locally here in Buffalo. And, it's a big market. And it's big enough to have a small company make the parts. But it's worldwide.
Specialty stuff.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool. I mean, and it's kind of, again, they started from scratch too. None of that was available, and they created a company around the lack of availability. And that's, I think, pretty much where this all starts.
Yeah, most things start like that, yeah.
I mean, why is Elon making rockets, right? Because the way that he is, because no one else did, right? So, and just to look at our electric cars, right? You look at it and go, well, I think I could do that, and I could do a better job at it. I think that's where it starts.
Well, that is interesting. Someone did bring this up because he went to Russia to buy the first rocket, to learn how to make them and stuff. And then he ended up not getting it, but it turned out that was probably the best thing because he had to figure out how to make it himself.
Right.
So
Yeah, he started from scratch.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's always a better idea
To
than
some
copying.
extent, though, it was basically the same thing for us. We didn't start out planning to make every part and do everything ourselves. In
That's
fact,
true.
we didn't think it was possible. I personally didn't think it would be practical to make a world-class headphone and manufacture all the parts ourselves. We were a very, very small company. It seemed like an impossible task.
Yeah, we figured we'd get like just a typical speaker driver somewhere and then
Yeah.
build around that, but we found out real quickly that typical speaker drivers all sucked.
yeah.
So-
That was our first like big hiccup. I'd say it'd be like, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah.
It took like 2 days.
Yeah,
to
it's not
figure it
long.
out.
We got some samples in and stuff, all these various like dynamic drivers, and it's like, this isn't going the way we
Yeah.
They
want.
were
There's
bad.
there's like no way we can't, there's no way. What do you call it? You can't polish a turd.
It's something like
There's
that.
no way,
You
It's
can make
like-
it better. You can make it pretty good.
Yeah.
But making a headphone that people go, wow, it's really hard to
Yeah.
do with somebody else's driver,
That takes some time.
unless it's a super good driver.
I mean, it's doable, but
Yeah, now it's a lot easier. There's a lot more
yeah.
drivers that are actually good. But back in those days, what you could get was just very limited.
Yeah, so that's the story. And I guess take it what you want, but we were innovators at that time and kind of still are, and we're still innovating. We're always innovating. I guess it's in our DNA. It's just who we are. It's a combination of us being put together and just turn it into a company and being able to make these products is, it's. I guess it's somewhat rare when you look at the world, and you're lucky as any company gets started, you're fortunate if you can make it past the first couple of years. You know, most don't. A majority of time, I think it's a good 75-80% of companies
It's pretty high.
fail in the first year or two. You know, so
It's very understandable why. Too.
yeah, oh, totally, yeah. You either run out of money or time, or
Well, that's the thing.
or
yeah.
you just hit a brick wall that just dead ends the whole project.
You need to be selling products to make money to then
Yeah.
make more products.
That is a problem. Yeah, without cash flow, this thing the project ends real quickly. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. We wanted to and we did.
When we did it, And
That's
here
the
we-
reason.
And we're still here today, and we're still making better products. So thank you, everybody. Please, for watching, please subscribe to us. If you like our videos, tick the like button, and take care of yourselves. Happy New Year.